Runner Story family, this is Allison Gilliard with Runner Story, where every story needs to be heard. And what a treat to be able to sit down with Tammy Denson. What a joyous spirit Tammy has, and she is my Tuscaloosa best friend now. Like, absolutely love and adore her. We got to meet her through Maddie, who's the manager of Wagner's, and she was just asking me about the podcast and was like, oh man, you should definitely interview Tammy. And Wagner's went beyond for us, and they allowed us the opportunity to come in and talk to Tammy, and that was such a sweet, sweet thing that they did. Highly recommend if you're in the Tuscaloosa area or stopping by Tuscaloosa, you definitely should go check out Wagner's. They are such a fun store and just great people. And Tammy has such a love for running and the running community. And guys, I love when she said that if she's not running a race, she's volunteering for it. I just love her. And you guys are also going to hear an extra voice, and that is Gray, our editor, who was also sitting in on the podcast. And again, it was just such a fun event, and he was just really honored to be able to be in there too. So if you hear that extra voice, that is great. So thank you again, Wagner's. Thank you, Tammy and Maddie, for allowing us to be able to meet there at your really fun store. And again, Tammy, thank you so much for sharing your story. Wow, absolutely incredible runner. And more importantly, an incredible human. Just 10 out of 10 recommending getting you a Tammy. So absolutely amazing. And guys, speaking of amazing, that is where our Patreon supporters come in. They are 10 out of 10. They are absolutely amazing human beings in our running community, and they are made up of run walkers, and they believe in Runner Story. And I can promise you, Runner Story would not have lasted this long if it wasn't for them. They keep us encouraged. They send us messages and texts about how much they enjoy this podcast. One recently was, man, I should have been warned about this one. So it's really good. It's so great to have such a community of people that believe in what you believe in when it comes to sharing people's stories. And I'm truly grateful for our Patreon supporters. They are absolutely phenomenal. And all supporters range from different tiers. And just like how races have different distances, we have that. So you can sign up as a Patreon supporter. You can go to Run Your Story and check us out there, and how to become a Patreon supporter. And we would love to have you join our Patreon community. We're always looking at ways to improve this podcast, and that is all possible because of our Patreon community. So thank you a million times. All right, guys, get ready, get set, and go run with my friend Tammy and her Runner Story. Oh, thank you so much, Tammy, for saying yes to this. We just met.
I know, literally.
Walked into Wagner's yesterday, had such a great experience getting shoes. And we were talking about the podcast, and Maddie was like, we have somebody that we love for you to interview. And I was like, let's do it. So thank you for saying yes to that.
Hey, I generally always say yes, which is a problem that I have, especially when it comes to races.
Well, speaking of races, how did your run story begin?
My run story begins when I was 9.
Okay.
And my father, who was also a runner, entered me in a city track meet in Gadsden, Alabama. We didn't really have running programs back then because that was, I hate to say this, but the late 60s. And so I entered the 50-yard dash, the 100-yard dash. And I was first, I think, in the 50 and third in the 100.
Wow.
That's when we had yard dashes, if you caught that. It's not what they do today, but that kind of started my story. And I've run ever since.
Wow. So what does your dad think about that?
My dad is my mentor. He's the one that got me into sports in general. He was real athletic, and he took me under his wing. He was also my coach in everything, whether it be track, whether it be softball, flag football, anything that went on, he was my coach. So he loves to see me. He loves to hear my running stories. He loves to see where I'm going next.
Yeah.
And he's 90 now. My mom and dad are 90, and they just celebrated their 70th wedding anniversary.
Wow. Oh, and what a legacy that he's passed down to you to be able to share that. Oh.
Another key, too, is his high school track coach was also my high school track coach. Now, obviously, he was on the end leg of that when he got me, but that also is key, I think.
Wow. So how many total marathons have you done?
17.
Wow.
And I didn't start my marathons till I was in my 40s.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't run long distance. In high school, I was a sprinter.
Okay.
I did the shortest races. I was always the anchor on the 400. I did hurdles. I did the high jump, the long jump. I did all of that, but I never did distance. I didn't like distance. I didn't want to do distance. I wanted to run, get it over with, and go on to something else. So
how did you make that transition from being a sprinter to I'm done to now we're going to be an endurance runner?
children,
Okay. Okay.
having children,
Okay.
and you can't just go out and say, hey, I'm going to go sprint.
Mm-hmm.
So everything was 5Ks.
Okay.
You know, if in town, if there was a group running or something and races, there was always 5Ks, occasional 10Ks. So that's how I started with that. And I just did 5Ks and 10Ks for forever, for a long time. And then I had a friend of mine say, why don't you do a marathon? I went, I don't think so. And she says, well, she was a coach for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
Okay.
I got into her program. And from there, I trained for my very first one, which was in Nashville, the rock and roll. It was my second to least favorite because I was running with an IT band injury.
Oh.
Because I trained, it was the first time I trained too hard, all the don'ts that you do. And so I ended up limping the last half of it. Started out in the rain. It was delayed because of the rain. I did have a cute running outfit, so I was real pleased with that. But it ended up being one of the least favorites I've done, so I'm amazed I did anymore, but I loved it after.
Wow. I always say in the running community, our friends are terrible influencers.
Totally.
100%. Which is what brought me to the store yesterday. My friend Katie was like, oh, you're in Tuscaloosa? You should go to Wagner's. I love that store. So after we left, I texted Katie and I was like, you're a terrible influence.
Just think if you work here.
Yeah, oh, that's he's like, don't tempt her.
She's working on it.
Oh, it's and
It's
I'm
like candy.
it is.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is. And if there's anything pink, I will buy it.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
Got it.
They used to, before I did work part-time here, they used to say, okay, Tammy's going to come in, so put the pink stuff out. So she'll buy it. It's true. It is totally true.
Yeah. That's hilarious. So obviously there have been some lessons that you've learned from running. What are some of those?
The first lesson is don't start out fast. I have a really problem with that. And I think it's probably because my background in sprinting,
Sure.
because that's all I knew. So I would start out fast and then fade at the end. The second lesson is I don't run to compete against anybody else. I compete with myself.
Yeah.
Can I do better than I did before? What can I do differently better? So, yeah, wisdom comes from running.
Yeah. No, I love that. Absolutely love that. So you talked a little bit about one of your not so favorite races. Is there a favorite race that you're just like, oh, I just love doing this race?
With no question. My marathon I did in Eugene, Oregon. Of course, you make your best friends when you're running. And so I had a few along the way, and we'd like to travel. My 17 marathons are never repeated. I want to go somewhere different. Well, Eugene was special because two things. Steve Prefontaine, I was a huge fan. The second is the track at Hayward Field, because it ended in Hayward Field.
Oh, yeah.
And I always wanted to do that.
Sure.
So it was my favorite race. I PR'd. I was trying to qualify for Boston, and I needed a 4:10 for my age group. I did a 4:10.51. So I missed it by 51 seconds. But when I finished, there was no question in my mind, I did the best that I could do. I did not see anywhere I could have shaved any time off. It was the best that I could have done. So it was by far my favorite. We went up the day before and found Pre's Rock, where he died in a car accident. It was beautiful. It was in April. It was beautiful weather too.
Wow.
By far my favorite.
And I love that because you weren't defeated by not qualifying for Boston. You looked at it and said, I loved everything on the pavement. I gave it my all. And that's something to be really proud of.
And the track at Hayward Field is like running on marshmallows.
Oh.
It is so soft. It was absolutely wonderful. I could have laid down and took a nap.
Right.
It's great.
I love that so much. Let's talk about a pre-race routine. Do you have one? And what does that look like?
Okay, it's one thing is the same, whether it's a 5K, 10K, 12K.
Okay.
I always lay out all of my clothes and go ahead and put my bib on my singlet, and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to hop in and leave out the next morning. And that's really the only thing. Obviously, I go to bed early. Doesn't mean I go to sleep because I'm usually nervous.
Right.
And I always eat pasta before. But that's my laying out my clothes. Everything's ready. You take a picture of it and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
That's my pre-race.
You like your flat Tammy.
I do. I love my
You cross the finish line. What does your post-race routine look like?
Again, it's different.
Okay.
5Ks and marathons. 5K, I always do this. I finish, I go back on the course and cheer everybody else on. It's my favorite thing to do. And usually if I'm not running a race, I'm on the course somewhere, working it and cheering them on. Because really, and I'm one of those, I'm near the middle part of the pack. The fast ones, they're done and they're ready. It's those that are struggling for the long run that need the encouragement.
Absolutely.
Now, my post-race for a marathon is eat. Something salty, but that's my thing to do first is eat as much as I possibly can keep in. And my favorite post-run meal after a marathon is a hamburger and french fries.
Oh.
And I'm not a red meat eater. I eat it occasionally, but I have to have a hamburger and french fries when I finish the marathon.
Yeah.
Later.
Not really
right
figure out
after.
the finish line.
No. It's either chips or cookies at the finish line.
That's amazing. Let's talk about a favorite running item, like an item that you're like, I will not go run without this.
Well, I'm obviously going to say shoes. I mean, because number one, I love shoes. And I think having the right kind of shoe makes all the difference in how you feel before and definitely how you feel after.
Absolutely.
Because if you're hurting on your feet after, you tend to say, I'm never doing this again. Well, you say that anyway, but you really mean it when your feet are killing you or you've lost a toenail or whatever.
Gray and I were talking about that this morning because we took our shoes out that we got yesterday, took them for a test run, which we both loved. But it's one of the things that I tell people is that you should look at your shoes and they should make you smile. Like, they should make you happy. Like, I can always go running that. And this morning was like, man, he's like, I could have kept running. My shoes felt so great. So I completely agree. The right pair of shoes will.
Let me ask, what did you get?
The Hyperion Max.
Okay.
So normally I've just been doing some training runs for 2 miles or so. Ran 4 miles this morning and then met with her and I was like, I can keep going. But we can get there. But I was like, well, I felt like I could just keep going. So the shoes might be different.
Yeah, they totally do.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk. What is your running shoe?
I'm one of these that it varies. Right now, I like to train in the Saucony Endorphin Shift.
I got the speed.
And because I'm not racing right now as much, I got these. And Saucony is not one that I normally will pick out. But the minute I put these on, I know. My next favorite probably in training is the Brooks Glycerin. I really like those. And I have narrow feet, but I don't like a narrow toe box.
Sure.
So the Endorphin Shift and the Glycerin both have a wider toe box, which helps me feel better when I run.
I'm sitting here going, man, now I just need to move to Tuscaloosa because I feel like I have a best running body. Because you're like, I'm not married to a running shoe. That's how I am. I'm like, I'll try anything. I'm like, let's just see how it does, you know?
Well, when I started, there wasn't that many brands. There definitely wasn't that many styles within the brand. Quite honestly, when I ran at 9, I had no idea what I ran in.
Sure.
There was probably one kind of shoe. And they weren't running shoes. They were tennis shoes, probably called tennis shoes. So now there's so many brands and so many styles that you just have to try them out. And so that's why I don't have a favorite. I used to only run in Nike Pegasus.
Oh, okay.
That was my shoe of choice. Then they changed the style and brought it up more on the back around your Achilles. Hurt my Achilles. So then you have to just look elsewhere. So, yeah, I'm not tied to anyone.
Ooh, I like it. Free bird.
Yeah,
Have a free runner.
absolutely.
I love that.
Bonus if they're pink.
Oh, there we go. Are you going to pink socks?
True.
You know?
True.
Let's talk about for your long runs. What does running fuel look like for you?
Okay. I started out not knowing what fuel even meant because my coach gave us sugar cubes. That's how long ago it was because you don't do that anymore. But I started out trying the jelly beans.
Okay, sport beans.
Sport beans. That's what I started out because I figure, okay, I know what a jelly bean is. They look like a jelly bean. It's fine. Then I tried during a race a granola type bar. Tore my stomach up. I said, okay, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
Then I went to the shot blocks. Well, after that, I always used what we called E-caps. Back when I started running, you could order electrolyte capsules, and I kept them in a little baggie. And when I go to the water, I would take 2 E-caps to get my electrolytes up. So that was my fuel at that point. Now, what I use? Peppermints.
Really?
I've never liked the goo product because I don't like the consistency.
Yeah.
So I started just using peppermints. And right now I have a peppermint in the back of my shorts because I will just keep them popped in my mouth because peppermints also help with nausea if you get a little queasy. But it also has sugar and it keeps your mouth moist so you don't dry out. So I use peppermints.
I like that.
So I'm sorry with our brands that we carry. I will still sell those because everybody's different.
Yeah, absolutely.
But peppermints work for me.
How about that? That's interesting.
So is there a peppermint jar out there?
There isn't. But where my full-time job is, there is.
Oh,
I suggest that.
that is awesome. You talked about your favorite race, but is there a favorite running memory? Something that sticks out to you like, oh, that is just a beautiful memory about running.
Yes. And it stems with a friend of mine. I say, when you get into a running group, you make the best friends of your life. That would be forever. Well, I had 3 friends of mine that decided that we would do a Caribbean running cruise.
Okay.
Yes. And this was in 2017. We saw it advertised. And I don't know if y'all are young, if you remember John Bingham. He used to write for Running World magazine. And he wrote a book about the penguin because he was not a fast runner. And I think people called him the penguin. Anyway, he and his wife started doing these. So we signed up. You start out on the cruise ship. I think we left out of Miami, if I'm not mistaken. We ran in Puerto Rico. Everywhere we ported, we ran either a 5K or 10K.
Oh.
And that was the most fun. And it was people, obviously, that loved running. And there were all kinds of paces, all ages, from young to old. It was just perfect. And one of the friends that I did that with has since passed away with cancer. So it makes it even more special. Yeah. But that was my favorite running memory, is the running cruise and getting to run in St. Croix. We ran in Puerto Rico. We ran in Dominica, St. Martin, Barbados, and Grenada.
So where was your favorite place to run when you went a lot?
Roughly. Dominica was great because that's where they shot Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay.
So that was cool.
Be sure.
But probably when we did the Harrier run I think we were on Barbados at that point, where we ran it with a group of locals. And that was a lot of fun.
Sure.
And then we ended on the beach. What do you think more fun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, what a cool memory.
It is. I would encourage anybody, look up Caribbean running cruise. And I'm assuming they still do them, but they're great.
That just sounds so fun. Yeah. Oh, plus you get the cruise experience. Then you get to go run in different places.
Yes. My second favorite, you didn't ask this, but I'm going to tell you, any Ragnar race. If you haven't done a Ragnar race. Yeah.
Okay, road or trail or both?
I've done both.
Okay.
I don't know which is my favorite. The trail one we did in Atlanta.
Yeah, I did that one with a few friends. Yeah.
Camp.
Yeah, it was terrifying running at night.
Yeah.
I learned a lot about myself during that.
Yes. It didn't bother me as much, but then I'm one of those.
You're hardcore, Tammy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I got that from my dad, which sometimes isn't a good thing because you take chances that you really shouldn't take. But we did the bourbon chase, and that was on the road.
Okay.
And that was through the distilleries in Kentucky, which was bonus too. And then we did one where we ran, it was called the Dixie 200, where we ran from Atlanta to Oak Mountain in Birmingham.
Wow.
And that was fun too.
That was hilly.
Yes. Very, very hilly.
And that was one of your favorites?
Yeah, what?
Another level.
The experience to me was more, again, you're also in the van or in a tent.
And you smell,
You do.
but it's great.
It is. And you make the best friends there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you don't, then it'd be a problem.
But I was like, and I learned from a friend of ours, Lance, who later on told me, he was like, yeah, I take headphones at night because he does ultra runs. And he's like, that way I always feel like I have somebody with me. And I was like, that would have been smart. I wish I would have thought about, because you hear everything.
You do.
And then you see shadows and you're like, I can't tell if that's a snake or that's like a serial killer, or you just get in your head. So I was like, I'm not that. But since learning that and having experienced that, and the wisdom of having an ultra runner go, okay, put in headphones. And I'm like, oh, well, I guess maybe I'll try again. I don't know.
It's finding those people that want to do that with you, though.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that can be hard.
Yeah. Do you listen to music at all when you run?
I don't anymore.
Okay.
I solve the world's problems when I'm out there.
We're voting you for president. Yeah, girl.
I talk through a lot of stuff.
Mm.
Now, used to, when I first started running, I ran with an iPod.
Yeah.
Again, that's...
Banana.
Yes. But I don't run with music anymore.
Okay.
I don't know why. I'm one of those odd ones. 2, I don't like to run with my phone or anything like that. So the little iPod made it easy because there wasn't anything attached. You know, I had the headphones that would, the strings that would bother you. But yeah, I just don't run with music.
Okay. That's fair. You're out in nature with people. Yeah.
And I also want to be aware.
Sure.
And used to, if you ran marathons or whatever, they were forbidden.
Yeah.
Which made a lot of people angry.
Yeah. Let's talk about recovery. Do you have a recovery tool that you like?
Tool?
Mm-hmm.
I like ice. If you have any tools, I know you have the rollers and all that kind of stuff, but to me, ice is the best. Now, again, we're talking 5K as opposed to a marathon. A marathon, I eat, I go back to the hotel, I sit in an ice bath. That, to me, is the best thing possible. 5K recovery, I don't really have one. I'm probably a bad influence because I don't stretch after or anything either. So I don't really have a recovery after that.
Okay. Let's talk about cross training, because cross training is crucial for runners to be able to stay on the pavement.
Absolutely.
What is your favorite cross training activity?
Well, I'm also a member of a CrossFit Iron Tribe here.
I'm shocked by that.
Yeah.
I'm shocked by learning about your hardcore stuff if you're in CrossFit.
So that's what I do in cross training. I love that part of it. I got really involved back in 2019 with Iron Tribe, and that's what I do. I love it. I have been known to go 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week. I don't do that anymore because at the moment I'm working too many jobs, so I don't have time to fit it in every time. So yeah.
You talked about your second least favorite race. So let's talk about your worst race and why.
My worst race was Key West.
Okay.
Now, we did go down before and stayed a little after. That time was wonderful. But Key West in October is very warm. In fact, it was so warm at this one, they started it early, even before the sun came up.
Wow.
There wasn't enough water stops, nor porta potties, and that was an issue. I came real close to having a heat stroke on that one. Oh, a lot of the pavement that you ran on was white, so it was horrible. I started out too fast, as I normally do, and it by far was my worst because I wasn't sure I was going to survive.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was leaning over a bridge, throwing up, so that was by far my worst.
Was that a marathon?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, it was.
You're like, this is a very long 26.2.
Oh, it was horrible. The first 10 was good, but the last 16.2 was miserable. And it was my slowest time because half the time I was off the side or cramped real bad. Yeah, I was really close to having a heat stroke. So people need to be aware of the surroundings too. And I let them know they needed more water. They needed a lot more on that marathon.
Yeah. So one of the things that you guys do here at Wagner's, which I think is so cool, and you touched on it, you guys have a training program for a fresh junkie, the Tuscaloosa half marathon and 5K, which will be back up next year for. We're very excited. But what is some advice that you give to the newbies that come in, or somebody that comes into the store and like, I want to get started hitting the pavement, but I don't know where to start? What is advice that you give to them?
Well, first, I want to encourage them to get with a group. Don't try to go out on your own, because by running with a group, you're going to run with people like me that's been doing it for years and years and years that can have advice to help them. Or you're running with someone that may be in college that is working with a coach that will have added things to tell them. So my first thing is to get with a group. And then with today, with social media, you can Google anything. So start Googling things about running. But my first advice is to get the right kind of shoe. First, and as you well know, did you get on the Atrax machine?
No, but we've been fitted before.
Oh, okay. You didn't have to. Well, those starting out don't know.
Absolutely.
They don't know if they need a stability shoe or a neutral shoe. So again, get a good pair of shoes, find out as much information as you can, and join a group. In every town, there's generally a track club or a running group that you can get involved in. And Tuscaloosa is great.
Oh, we talked about before the podcast, that we went out this morning, again, try out our running shoes. But we also, when we go somewhere new, we want to get a feel of the city or the town. And we went to the park by the river, and there was so many people out. It was just so nice to see, and a whole new scenery. And I was just like, wow, this was just really fun. And yeah, and you saw all kind of ages, different people, and that was amazing.
Well, and today is supposed to be 100 degrees, so everybody was out early.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking of running after we finish this, and I'm going,
Oh.
it won't be long. I will run, but it won't be for a long distance. I'll find the shade at maybe Riverwalk.
10 out of 10 recommend that way. Let's talk about goals. Do you have any?
Right now, I do. I don't want to do another marathon. I think my body is, not that it's not wanting to do it, I can't go through the training. Because to train for a marathon, you got to have at least 4 months.
Oh, yeah.
And at this particular moment, I don't have 4 months to be training like I should. But I think I want to look at some senior games and compete in some senior games.
That's amazing.
So I think that's probably a goal that I will have.
I love that.
Maybe even sprint. Get back to my roots.
I love that. I will be there with bells and whistles and signs.
Yeah.
I love that. So cool.
Yeah. There's senior games all over, but Birmingham has one, so it's close enough.
Yeah. That is phenomenal. Oh, please keep us posted.
I will.
on that. I love that. Mantra. Is there something you tell yourself whenever you're like, I want to quit?
I usually repeat in my head, especially when I get to about mile 19, if I'm doing a marathon, is, you got this. And I constantly say that. And then I run through, are your shoulders relaxed? Is your jaw relaxed? I go through that kind of thing just to make sure everything is in tune to help me make it to the end.
Yeah.
So, but I don't have one thing that I tell myself.
You got this. Yeah. I think that's great.
Yeah. I just have to, because at that point, you really need the encouragement.
Greg calls that a diagnostic test that he does.
Oh.
Yeah. I run a diagnostic on myself.
Oh, do you?
Because I ask myself, I look at my feet and I say, are my feet hurting? How are they feeling? I go up to my ankles. I go up to my calves. And I keep going up my body. And this always takes about 5 seconds, right? But I just do a quick diagnostic and say, how is my actual body feeling?
Yeah.
And if it's all right, then it's just all right.
Yes.
So let's just keep going. Yeah. Right? Your body can handle it. Just keep going.
Well, we all know that 80% of running is mental anyway.
Yeah.
But see, I start at the top because my whole issue is I tend to do this. When I get tired, I tense up. So, yeah, I understand it. And you should do that.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So what has been your favorite lengths to run? So whether it's a training run or whether it's race day, is there something that just like, can't wait to go get out and hit the pavement?
If I'm not racing, because I think my favorite would probably be a 5K just simply because it's shorter. You can get it done. But if I'm just going out to run, usually 5 miles.
Okay.
Unless I'm training for something, 5 miles usually. And then if I feel good at that 5 mile mark, I may do a little more.
Okay.
If I don't, then I stop. Because I can tell I don't know if y'all are like me, but the first mile is the worst mile. Because there's something about it, it's like, I am not going to make it to 2. But you pass that threshold, and then you're okay. So 5 miles is probably my best. That's if I go out and run, I know I can do 5 miles.
Yeah.
And then if I'm feeling better, I do more.
I heard someone once say, never judge a run by the first mile. And I'm like, that's like the best thing.
Yeah. Oh, no.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's always bad for me.
When you're not running, what fuels you? What are you passionate about?
I read.
Okay.
I do read. I'm not totally passionate about that, but I think that kind of helps me get out of my own head and get into somebody else's. But what I really like to do, and I know this sounds corny, but it is so true, is encouraging others to find your run. Because they're all different. If I'm working here or if I'm working an event, because what I do here is community manager. So I go out to a lot of races or events that they have. So I'm there to encourage and to tell somebody to find their why. Why are they running? Because it's all different for everybody. Some it's physical, some it's mental. It's all different. So getting out there and talking to other people about running is probably my favorite thing.
I love that. That is so cool. What brought you to Wagner's? I know you said you were a customer, I mean, the pink shoes and the pink clothes, but what made you decide, hey, I want to join the Wagner family?
Well, it basically started way back, right when I first moved here in the 80s. Well, the late 80s, it grew to that, and I became aware of the Wagner family.
Okay.
Tommy Wagner, who is Matt's father. Matt's the one that runs the Wagner stores now. We have several. But I met him, and I knew about the Wagner shoe family because they've been in business for 71 years. Not necessarily all in athletic shoes, but just the shoe story. When I joined the track club, we used to have a Tuscaloosa track club here. So when I joined that, Wagner's was the running store. We would meet wherever it was. It hadn't always been here. And we would run from there. And I got more involved in the track club and went up the ranks, became president, and all that kind of stuff. So Wagner's has always been a part of that. So I've probably been part of the Wagner family since the 90s.
Wow.
I guess, really. I started working here part-time about 2 years ago because by trade, I'm a paralegal. I work in the legal field.
Okay.
And have for 40 years. And my boss is retiring. So 2 years ago, I went to Matt and I said, hey, he's retiring. I now want to do something I love. What can I do here? And so he created this position of community manager because I know so many people in the community because I've been so involved in the track club. So I know a lot. So he created this job just for me for that reason, because it gets people aware of running. And so that's how I became a Wagner running family.
I love that. What a cool story. Oh, I would say it is such a cool place. It really is. We walked in yesterday and I was like, this is just fun. The environment's fun. We got to meet Maddie, which we didn't know that she was manager. And we would just chat and just talk. And I was like, wow, it's just so relaxed. And hey, you want to try this out? Let's try this out. And
it is a family.
fun. Yeah.
It totally is a family. And you can tell that because it's all about customer service and what's good. And everybody's different.
Yeah.
Just like every runner's different.
I love that. And you guys have a Wagner run walk group. So when do people meet?
We have a Monday, 5:30 here at the store where we'll run either 1 or 3 miles and come back, and we'll have water for them. We have a kegerator.
I did see that one, and I saw it yesterday, and I was like, does that work? Like,
yeah.
Wow.
You can have one when you come back from running, as long as you're over 21.
Yeah.
We do not sell it. And then on Tuesday, we have Tuesday's Trails, which I'll meet the group up at Circle Park. Are you familiar with? Okay, you'll learn.
Okay.
We start at 5:30 there, and that's a great trail run that a lot of the high school cross-country teams train on.
Okay.
We do that. We have pub runs one Monday a month that start at 6, and we run from here to one of our designated pubs that we partner with.
That's cool.
We do coffee runs some Saturday mornings.
Sign me up. Where were you this morning?
I know.
Oh,
we
man.
do those. I'm working currently right now to do an ice cream run one Monday to where we run to Moonshot, which is down on Riverwalk.
Okay.
It's an ice cream place. And then we do our training starting in January in partnership with PhysioLate from January to March. And of course, anytime we have special runs that we try to coordinate, like June 1st, which was a Saturday, we had a bar crawl where we partnered with 3 bars and we ran a mile in between each and gave away prizes and stuff at each place. So
Yeah.
we're all the time thinking of new things to do for the running community. Yeah, to make it special.
And you're literally within walking distance to the campus
Oh, yeah.
of the University of Alabama.
The best location ever, because we used to be in Midtown.
Okay.
So I don't know if you're familiar with Midtown. It's across the street from the highway, from the mall,
Okay.
away from everything. And our group runs would be in neighborhoods back there, which it's the only place you can run, so it got a little boring.
Sure.
But when we moved here 3.5 years ago, I guess it was, best thing.
Wow.
Yes.
So we had Bama Bound orientation, and we were like, oh, we can literally walk to Wagner, which is what we did in the 100-degree weather yesterday. But we loved it. We were like, this is so great. Because we wanted our daughter to be like, hey, this is where the running store is. This is where you need to come and meet people and hang out and stuff. So
She needs to get involved with Run UA. Run UA, ask her to check that out.
Okay.
They come to a lot of our stuff, but they have a running group. It's a great group of kids.
I love that.
But yeah, but tell her to find Run UA and she'll love it. And it's, again, all paces, everything. Some of them have never run before and get involved.
Wow.
So yeah, and they love the pub runs. They're over 21. Not all of them can, but the young ones, your daughter couldn't.
Right. I love that. Oh, Jamie, this has been amazing. Any final words of wisdom, my friend?
Again, if you're a runner or you think you want to be a runner, first off, find your why. Why am I wanting to run? And then always just find a group because it's family. Runners to me are the best family ever. They're the nicest people. They think of other people than themselves most of the time. And it's just a great community. I could not have survived without my running community.
Great when we moved to Tuscaloosa.
But look, for 4 years, it is like your second home.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I loved it. Oh, Tammy, you're amazing. And I love your heart for the community. And we'll be back so blessed to be able to come run with you guys and just looking forward
please
to
do.
what you guys do. So thank you so much for digging down with us.
You're so welcome. Thanks for asking.
Absolutely. Oh, I just absolutely love Tammy. Such an amazing individual, such an amazing heart for runners and walkers. And I love that they're such an amazing store at Wagner's and they have such an amazing human like Tammy and Maddie and the rest of the crew. Just love, love, love. They've become my home away from home. And you can find them at the University of Alabama. You can literally walk there from campus. And I know because we've done it. So excited that Wagner's has become a home for us and a place that we can go to when we're not in our local community. And definitely support your local running stores. They put in so much work and so grateful to have that because not every community does have a running store. And so whether you're visiting or you live there, go support your running store and every little bit helps. So shout out to all the running store owners. And again, to Wagner, thank you so much for opening up your doors for us so we could hear Tammy's story. Again, guys, cannot say enough great things about the store or Tammy. Absolutely incredible. And guys, speaking of incredible, thank you to our Patreon supporters. You guys are rock stars. And like, share, comment for our Patreon supporters. They like to hear feedback. They like to know what's going on. And we read the comments. And so like, share, comment. You're going to want to. Tammy's amazing. And I cannot wait to go back up there and run with her lots in Tuscaloosa. So very, very excited. You can join our Patreon community. You can go to Run Your Story and check it out. And we'd love to have you join our Patreon family. I love our Patreon family members. They're absolutely incredible. And thank you to Go Tech Services for editing our podcast, making things possible. And was so grateful. It was so fun to be able to have him in the interview with Tammy. It was so fun to hear his perspective on things. And so grateful for him. and what he brought to this interview. Just kind of made it a little extra special. So definitely check out Gilliard Tech Services for all of your website development needs. He's got you whether starting up a new one or freshening up your existing one. Definitely go check him out at GilliardTS.com. Thank you again to Mars Hill for always having a safe place for us to be able to record. While we did record in Tuscaloosa at Wagner's, it's always great to know that we have such a great place to be able to record that's safe for us to share our stories, and so grateful for that. Again, another amazing asset of our running community is having places that believe in Runner Story and believing in the running community. So thank you to Mars Hill Church. And guys, don't forget to like, share, comment. Definitely want to hear back from you. And as always, go run your story, because every story needs to be heard.